Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon for everyone around the globe who are listening me. And today, I'm going to present this session on building zero trust model in modern workplace, or digital workplace. You can name it anyway. And it's all about how to secure our workplace, because these days we are having lots of challenges and we are working remotely from different areas. So that is actually the theme of my session. Thank you for sponsoring by Bachelor and Prema. And this is my introduction. I am working in different domains as a principal solution architect and in business strategy and technical part with Bachelor AD. And this is, I just want to give you the background that our enterprises is under the huge transformation. I will not call it the name of digital transformation is a buzzword, but it's about the transformation. We have a continuous journey to innovate our workloads, way of working. We are using multiple devices. We are bringing in something, let's say, evolving into the cloud SaaS-based adoptions, and we are opening lots of user experience for mobile devices, Android, Apple, Microsoft, Windows. So we have now open opinion from end users. So people are going through that. And it's now it's bringing a new revelation inside of IoT, robotics, process automation, cloud platform. So it looks like this, that we have a different parameters in terms of the cloud technology in mobile devices, infrastructure as a service. And on the same time, we have to understand that how our organizations looks like. So this could be the picture. I'm not saying this is 100%, but this could be the picture of our innovative enterprises. So we really need to understand, and we have to look at how we can work together, be productive, be collaborative, but in secure manner. That's the important part today. And I just want to give one example, because these days there is a couple of different verticals of thinking about security attack vectors. Because now you can find out on the market different attack services as a service. People building such kind of payloads or some kind of DDoS attack vectors. You can get lots of tons of the tools and services under the needs, and then you can use it for hunting your targets, and you can attack the organization. So that is pretty easy on the market. If you go into the GitHub, you can find lots of tools that are pre-built and practices people are publishing. So as we are going in the organizational structure, in global expansion and digital transformation, in enterprise transformation, we are going to do the IT in the non-IT environments. And at the same time, other side of the actors are thinking into the next direction. So why we really need this conversation today about zero trust conversation? That's the important question for us, that I really want to emphasize it. I want to go in the details, bits and bytes, that why we really need it, and what areas we can cover, what are the use cases could be in this context. Let's say first part is IT security is complex. Why? The reason is many devices, many type of the users, and many connections. We are working B2B, B2C, partners, customers, and we are using bring your own device and bring company owned devices, partners owned devices. So we have a different kind of a culture, and it makes a little bit complex our IT. That's one challenge. And second is that trusted network security strategy. People trying to put again trusted network security and network security parameter is quite old now. We try to help that, but still you have to work on that. We cannot say that this is absolute now, but of course it's there. But it's a little bit less impact in terms of implementation. If you implement network security, you can't protect your environments because your users are working from the trains, planes, or they're traveling, hotels, cinemas, or in sitting in the homes. So there you cannot define the network actually. So that could be another challenge. And then asset increasingly leaving the network. That's actually really big problem. Bring your own device and SaaS applications and mobile devices, kiosk devices. So we have multicultural environments right now in the one organization. And then attackers shift in, let's say in past 5 years or 10 years ago, people are trying to breach the network perimeters, routers, switches. They want to sniff the traffic. But right now, in last couple of years, the totally mindset is shift into identity attacking with phishing, social engineering tools, credential theft. Because if you breach someone, administrator of the organization, you really don't need to do anything. Then you can go anywhere in the organization. That's an easy but very complex target. In terms of easy means for attackers, hackers, it's really easy to target some specific group of the people in the organization with the different attacking techniques. If they get successful, then it's easy for them. Otherwise, there is many more layers available in these terms. So what are the trends and the challenges for attackers in zero trust? Attackers using identity to bypass the network controls. That's it's really lethal sometimes. I saw a couple of organizations, I read the stories also, the attackers bypass that and they go via credentialing, theft solutions or attacking mechanisms, and they breach the organizations. And passwords are not enough to protect. Again, that is also very important factor because most of the hacking techniques, let's say people using open source tooling, Linux platform, or some kind of non-approved legacy protocols they are trying to access using SPN, using different service accounts as well. And then identity is being used outside of the network. That also a big challenge, as I mentioned, that you are using for cloud, for mobile, for IoT, for accessing your resources anywhere, any device. That is actually the end user experience. They want to do that. So this is actually the background of the session that we have to look for, that how really it works and why we need it, zero trust. I'm sure that zero trust is a very big topic to discuss, but now we are going more specific to understand a little bit layers. And I cannot say that in zero trust, everything is protected. No, there is so many layers, so many areas to focus, so many endpoints you have to protect. So our focus mainly on identities and security, that who can access what and from which platform, which devices they can use, how to structure this zero trust at user access management level for your digital workplace. So what are the principles of zero trust actually? Verify explicitly, you have to authenticate the user, authorize, and you have to define the data endpoints and user identities based on the location, based on the health, device's health, and anomalies you can detect. And then least privilege, that is also a basic principle for zero trust, that most of the time we do the mistakes in organizations. We assign the permission for certain roles, RBACs, and as a human brain, we forget about that. And we don't have just in-time access or PIM process, risk-based adoption or data protection measures. So we really need to set up some kind of a structure and the framework that we can allow users at certain time of period with proper workflow and approval that they can access their resources and their assignment should be revoked automatically. And then assume breach is also part of this story. So actually now let's talk on this area, zero trust access control strategy. This is just as a strategy. Let's say if I am here and oh sorry, I have to go one right back. I am here and I am using this device and my organization should know that if the device management is okay, what is the threat detection might be this device is already compromised and it's using multi-factor authentication, behavior analytics or more. So I just want to explain behavior analytics. Many vendors like Google, Facebook or other vendors are using behavior analytics, but Microsoft especially using user entity behavior analytics. So let's say if I'm a user of any organization, I log in first week on one device, I am very punctual, I'm working from 9 to 5. And in the next week, my username is logged in on 20 devices and that are off hours login attempt. So it means there is a suspicious activities behind the scene. Then there is could be the users are logging in from distant location. They are logging in from the risky devices. They are logging in from the impossible travel. That could be the factors. And then you have to define the decision. Actually, you are getting these kind of the signals from the devices and identity and logins, and then you have to define the decision that how you want to protect them. You really want to evaluate each session. Let's say you want to allow the access, increase the insurance. If someone is going from impossible travel, let's say one person is sitting here and after 30 minutes he is detected from Tokyo, Japan, and it is not realistic. So how you will decide that? You have to reevaluate that session, that how could be this travel possible in just 30 minutes. So then you have to block that user, you have to ask the users re-authenticate or something like that. You have to take the decision on the top of that. And let's say if I'm working in an organization and I have a critical data in SharePoint, in OneDrive, or in my file server, especially in terms of collaboration platform. So does it make sense that if I have a device that is a risky device, I'm logged in from internet cafe or some shared devices out of my network, do my organization allow me to access that data and download that data on such a risky devices? No, you have to track it and you have to put it some kind of allow limited access. Don't block the users, but protect them that they cannot download, they cannot print, they can view only, that's it, if they are on non-compliant devices, non-managed devices. That's real factors in terms of the decision making. And then remediate the risks also. If someone is trying to log in from somewhere XYZ domains and he's trying to access one time, two times, three times, and then you can check the session and then you can check, okay, if there is something really needed, then you have to take the action on that. And then you can block the access also on the top. And then third part comes after taking this decision, you can say enforcement. That's pretty clear. And I can just share one use case that I was working with one customer and they just told us that, okay, we want to block all Android devices specifically. We don't want to use in our environment, but we want to allow specific one group of users. They are using, let's say, for order taking some devices with Android. So you can enforce these kind of policies, block all, allow specific, based on authentication, based on your explicit controls, and you can define the controls. That's all in your own hands. So that's actually just a roadmap to drive zero trust model, that how you can start it with in terms of, again, this is for access and control, how your users can jump into your environment. Okay, so let's move into the next slide. So Microsoft always give us the clear picture that align the segmentation strategy and the teams based on network, based on application, security, based on identity. So build identity-based perimeters to protect. Let's say if I don't want to allow legacy authentication or protocol to my environment, I can clearly go for that and redefine the network perimeter. If you want to use network, you have to define that these are my trusted locations, rest, I don't trust it. You can define that. And in that area, again, there is a different areas for zero trust identity architecture, SOC, security operations center, secure administration, network transformation, and resource modernization. So these are correlated strategic initiatives inside that. Okay, let's understand this now in depth. How about this building up the zero trust model? That what could be the modern approach? In the first half of this presentation, I will show you that how it works, and then we can go into portal and we can configure in the real time that how it works. Let's say we evaluate user risk and we go into the device risk, and threat intelligence is also over there, and security policy engine, let's say we can call it organizational policy. It's authentication always goes with Azure Active Directory, you know, Microsoft Identity Access Management and Authorization Platform are SaaS-based service. So it's monitor continuous risk evaluation. If the device goes in risk, then user and this risk should be the remediated at this engine based on this policy. And if your device is okay, and then you have to follow and you have to set up specific access management based on the documentation sensitivity, based on applications you are using, legacy applications or some kind of network also. So that actually the big picture, that these are end user side and this is your cloud side, and this is the central hub of security policy engine where you can define and you can pick it up. Again, this is the simple format: signal, decision, and enforcement. You have to get the signal from based on user risk, device risk, and then you have to design your policy here, and then you have to enforce based on the different perimeters, either on network, legacy applications, modern applications, documents. So at the end, you can get clear visibility and monitoring stuff also, that who is doing exactly what from which devices, which location. So that actually the whole concept for zero trust model for authentication and user access management. So how it works, using, as I mentioned, it works on Azure Active Directory. So let's say this is user risk and the device risk. Here is. So Microsoft is evaluating with identity different components using Azure ATP for user entity behavior analytics, cloud app security, cloud shadow IT detection, and Azure MFA, and using identity protection in Azure Active Directory, your location, your impossible travel, and your assessment of location and IP address repetition is detected with that, and then you can get into your environment and everything will comes on the conditional access, and you approve with multi-factor authentication. On the other side, Microsoft Defender ATP is really powerful now. I will show you guys here in the portal. Let's say in terms of a security center, now you can onboard Apple devices. You can onboard Apple devices and you can onboard Linux machines, everything. You can see there is this is my Ubuntu machines. I onboarded that iOS device and Windows 10. So everything works fine, and you can deploy this security mechanism on any device, any platform. So now Microsoft is expanding their footprint for device defending system, and you can enroll your machines with the Microsoft management solution, let's say endpoint manager, and you can check the compliance in the real time. And this device is managed or not. This is local Active Directory. It's hybrid AD join. So you can get all the signals for in access management from the device perimeter and user perimeter. So then it goes into policy engine and it will check clearly, initiate that, and it's getting the signals. Organizational policy comes into the picture, and remediation goes, and self-service password is also possible to remediate the risk that user cannot wait for password changes. Let's say if you enforce with something, and then again, you have to lower the access, you have to manage cloud app security, you can set up information protection layer for, let's say, documentation, and manage mobile applications as well. So there are the couple of areas you can concentrate on, and it's really, really powerful. Again, this is the same strategical document or approach: signal, decision, and enforcement. So this is how conditional access or zero trust works actually in the big picture. Again, this is users, trusted devices, location, and what kind of the client you are using. And then it will go into the policy engine based on machine learning, policies, real-time evaluation, and then it will assess the risk management, and then it will check effective policy. It will go into your controls. You can define different controls, and then you can go into the big picture that what exactly you want to achieve. So that's how zero trust layer for access management you can define with any device, any location, any application. Authentication method you can use either federated or third-party authentications, Azure Active Directory, but you have to provide that IDP, identity provider, first, connect it, and then you can evaluate. And this is actually the big picture. So let's look how it works, and then I can jump into next demo part, and I will show you how to configure it and what are the where to start it. Let's say we have to align the access based on the user role, what kind of your role, which group membership you have, what kind of the devices you have, configuration, location, last login, and then we have to check it with, let's say, device health. This is a client for, let's say, if some organization is not using the Linux or some MacBooks in their environment, so you can block them in the real time. If you're using iOS and Windows, iOS for the mobile devices or Android for the mobile devices and Windows 10, let's say, you can allow only specific devices which your organization authorizing you to access their data. That's a critical point. So this is an example. Let's say this is office resource. We can say, let's say it's a travel expense application. We have to access it. It will check in the real time that it's right in all user risk side, and the device side is through browser. That's it. And it will say configuration is anonymous and location is not validated and device is compromised. So block the access. That's how actually zero trust for user access, and in terms of the digital workplace, it blocked your access and it will make you clearly, and it define the perimeter beyond your network security, beyond your devices security. It's more revolving around the identity security. So let me go back and I will show you now Handson Demo. Let's say whenever you want to try out this conditional access or this perimeter, so you have to take care of that. Number one, you have to create one global admin group. Number two, you can create exclude users, sorry. Number three, you can exclude, let's say, guest users also. So you can create 3 groups dedicatedly, and let's jump into the portal and we can look what we can define and how we can protect that. So number 1, I will go, first task is to create the conditional access. Specifically, I want to block legacy protocols that no one can access my resources inside the Azure. Let's say I want to make clearly that all users using any cloud applications from other clients. Let's say you can use browser, yes, it's fine. You can use desktop applications, yes, that's fine. All the devices, yes, and block that. I blocked it clearly that I don't want that through APIs or through non-approved protocols you can access your environment. That's the first layer of defense in zero trust model. Then we will go into, let's say, Windows 10 clients. And in terms of the Windows 10 clients, it's really important. Protect all users, exclude all guest users and externals. That's very important. Why? The reason is that when you collaborate with your external partners, you are not allowed to manage their devices. If you apply such kind of policies, you must make sure that their devices or their access should be a little bit not impacted by your organizational policies. So you have to explicitly, you can define that, okay, they don't need to follow this policy for that. And let's say you are trying to scope with Office 365 apps or M365 applications. And then you can define the policy, okay, through browser or through mobile applications, you can access your application, that's done. And then you can define that grant the access only and require multi-factor authentication and require device to be compliant. So let's say I have this device, client 3. Until it starts, I will show you guys in the browser. So this is my device. This is fully compliant. So if I try to access my data using Windows 10, if I'm not allowed or I'm trying to access this outside of my environment, I can't access this. Let's say this is my Windows client. So this Windows client is completely compliant as I defined in that. So this is also part of my security posture also. And if I go here and I can show you, this is enrollment with Windows 10 Windows client. So I have a different client. So this is client and its state is fully compliant. And if I have to quickly access something, I can access, but this is actually complete requirement. So you cannot access your data without non-compliant devices. If you like to do that, might be we can try. Let's say I have to check it if this policy is off actually. So select and we can turn it on, this policy, done. Let's see how it behave with us. So if I go into portal.office.com and I try to log in with my one user, end user, we will see what happens. Okay, it sent me the code, multi-factor. Yes, this is actually the real picture. You're blocked. You cannot access. The reason that you cannot you not comply with the device client application, it's not meeting your requirements. And this is actually the real use case that I defined here, that you cannot access this data in client devices. So if I go into this device, if I try to log in with the user, that user having compliant device and it's working fine, you can access your data. So that is one kind of one directional demo. So I showed you that this is how you can protect in the real time, in the real use case, that you can block the access of your users. Again, this depends upon your policy because it's a big structure and you can just turn it on and it will work for you. And this is a block policy I defined. If let's say someone, this is one way, there is a couple of ways you can block that also. You can go and you can define, okay, from all users, application is Office 365, and conditional access, you can apply condition on, let's say, Windows devices only. That is another way. Any location, client application browser or mobile applications, and device state you can define, okay, you can exclude, okay, you can just choose the device compliance and hybrid AD join that they can access. So this is a two ways. Either you go and ask explicitly that you want to have these kind of controls to access, or you can apply it in another direction, block, but allow these only devices. So it's upon the strategy of your IT security of at customer end, that how they wanna design it. So I asked that this one also. So there is a two ways to control Windows 10 access or Windows client access using grant or the block. So if you really want to block everything, go with the block. And if you wanna explicitly grant, and then you can make granular control as well. So this is one way of, two ways of Windows 10 devices management and capacity in that terms. So now, whenever you are going to collaborate with other partners, with customers, let's say, you can go and specifically ask guest user and external users. They target them. That's it. And then let's say you are going to collaborate with them. So in collaboration, you just collaborate based on Teams, OneDrive, and SharePoint. That's it. So target these two applications. And then you can apply the condition through browser or access. They can access, that's fine. And then you can ask them, they provide multi-factor authentication. Don't put them on all conditional access policies. So now this is another channel is secured, that your partners, your customers who are as a guest users working, collaborating with you, when they're trying to log into your Teams or your data, they just provide multi-factor authentication to prove that who they are. That's a really, really important factor in terms of that. Okay, and next part I will go into. Now we blocked unmanaged devices. We defined Windows 10 client access in the right way. Let's go into the mobile devices applications. Let's say if I have this application, all users, exclude guest users again. Don't forget it. Don't target all the users. And then you have to target Office 365 applications, let's say. And then you have to choose a device platform, Android and iOS. Don't choose desktop versions, let's say. Include applications so they can access only through mobile application and desktop. They cannot use with browser. Of course, your company invested money on the top, and they cannot access the data with mobile browsers. I don't know what they do, what they're searching for, their browser is secured or not, but there is certain policies, criteria you can go for that. And you can ask them that they have to provide that their device should be compliant. Okay. So I just want to give one more quick demo here. Let's say this is my mobile device, my personal device. I'm trying to access this account from Alex. So firstly, I have to look, this policy should be the turned on, done. So this policy is turned on, and now I will jump into that and I will show my screen here. Okay. Let's say portal. Let's say I will log in to my email. Let's say, so skip that. Alex at the rate. And when you're trying to access this one, it will go and it will ask you for your credentials, let's say, and it gives you the error. Not error, this block you that your organization don't allow because this device should be enrolled with managed devices. So no one like to do that. So you can check the more details here, let's say. In the details, you can see that this device is unregistered device. This status is not okay. And if you want to enroll this device, and this device will go under the supervision of your organization. So this is how you can secure your email access on any device specifically. That if this is my personal device, I really don't like to enroll it with my organization. So I'm not allowed, I'm not supposed to do that. So this is actually the blocker clearly. So you can, you saw that this is MDM access management, that you can access and you can choose that clearly, and you can define the policy. Okay, and in last, this is for MAM. If you want to allow specific devices, you can define that, and you can target specific devices again in the similar way, but you can control that no one can copy paste the data using your mobile applications in from the personal devices to devices that are not compliant to your organization. So if you want to allow bring your own devices, so you can define explicitly MAM, mobile application management, in that context. And the last part, which I showed you guys in the strategy, that you can block the access of your data, specifically in the SharePoint and OneDrive and collaboration platform, from the unmanaged devices. Let's say you need to have registered devices only, and you need to have hybrid AD join. That's clearly mentioned in it. So let me try it out. If it works, I have to turn off this policy, and then I will try to go quickly if it works. So these two policies are turned on. So I will close this one and I show you that how it works. So let's say if I am on my personal device, portal.office.com, and here you go. That's done. I am logged in now. Okay, so when you try to access OneDrive, let's say I'm not sure that this policy will work, but yeah, one side is working because it's with conditional access, with cloud app security. So this policy is just implemented. It takes some time, but due to shortage of time. So when this kind of way is happening, let's say if I'm trying to open some kind of any sheet, so on the top bar, you will see after the policy is implemented. So you can see that you will get in yellow bar that your policy, your organization don't allow you to cut, copy, paste, or print or download the document on unmanaged devices. So I think that's all for today's session. I try to explain as much as maximum And yeah, so you can also do something more about that. So I have 5 minutes to explain. You can ask end users, everyone, with explicitly that they need to provide multi-factor authentication also. So there is so many areas, and you can block the access for this Azure portal as well. For you can allow only that global administrators can access such kind of portals, none others. So you can block them and allow specific global administrators. So that's how you can structure your zero trust for user access management in terms of your data, in terms of your mobile devices, in terms of applications, in terms of Windows or Mac OS. So it's a very big topic to talk on that, and it's very well structured. So I would say thank you very much. And if let me go into now in the question area. If anyone have a question, please feel free to ask. Any question, please? Anything you like to know, or I can explain, just type into the Q&A tab and I will happy to answer that. Monica, can you hear me? So if no more question, thank you very much, and feel free to reach out me. I have, let's say, yeah, is it possible to define the Linux as a compliant? Let me check this for you. Linux with, you can secure, you can enroll with that also. Yes, it's with possible with Microsoft Defender ATP, but I have to check. I don't think so with Intune will work on that, but in device risk, you can go for that also. So is it hybrid setting that should have separate the security policies or better unified across all the platform? In that context, I think you have to structure it, because you can have to go based on the device types. You have to go user groups also, and you have to set up based on the locations as well. It's architectural way that how you design that. So are these policies implemented through Azure, or it can done without Azure like AD? It's done through Azure Active Directory, actually. It's not a local AD, it's not Azure Cloud Platform, it's done through Azure Active Directory, because that is a centralized control plane to check security risk evaluations, everything from single point of the gateway to access on that. And but of course, these policies, you can extend it to your Azure infrastructure as well. That's not a problem. So you can, if you want to target explicitly not digital workplace, you want to define to access for Azure workload specific RBAC roles, so you can define those also. Any more question, please? Linux, you can define as a based on device risk side. So if that device is enrolled with MTP, of course, but I'm not sure that 100% I am able to answer this question, because it's open source. Microsoft is bringing into their ecosystem of the security step by step. For that guidelines, I will check with my team if we like to share this presentation slides. Of course, Patrick Gimone and me and organizers, we will work on that, and hopefully you will get this video and plus content as well. But I'm not sure when, but of course, this is a part of the planning. Okay. If there is no more questions, thank you very much for listening, and feel free to reach out me at Khalid Hussain. This is, let's say, I can just put it. You can, sorry. This is my username on social media, on LinkedIn. Better way to approach me, LinkedIn. You can reach out to me. I am posting lots of things, and I'm driving the community as well. So if you have any question, anything else, so you can just go on that LinkedIn profile, and you can pick me up there, and happy to answer you. If not, thank you very much, and looking forward.